Real Madrid are given the green light for a shopping spree. Timo Werner to reassess his Chelsea future. It's the good, the bad and the ugly from European fixtures, a transfer roundup and this week's Friday feels, all coming up on today's OneFootball Daily News. As I'm your host Angelina Kelly, let's get into it. So first up, and according to reports from AS in Spain, Real Madrid have been given the green light to spend a little bit of money in the upcoming transfer windows. Following the publication of the squad's salary cap this season, the club are reportedly in a pretty strong position as they now have €739.1 million to spend in the sports section of the club. This is a new record for the club and it is reportedly down to an aggressive cost-cutting mentality. Now, Real Madrid and cost-cutting, you don't normally put them into the same bracket, but reportedly, thanks to the good economic management of the club over the last few seasons, it is now paying off. So over the last few seasons, we have seen departures of the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Achraf Hakimi, Martin Odegaard, Rafael Varane, and of course Sergio Ramos departing as well. And what this means is that it has liberated Real Madrid from the amount of top wages that they have had to pay. In addition to this, some loan moves have also helped, and the fact that the club have had to take a step back and reassess with the financial crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, and also the fact that some players have reportedly taken salary cuts. And what this means is that Real Madrid are now in quite an enviable situation compared to some of the other top clubs in Europe and Spain. So this figure of €739.1 million that Real Madrid do have available to spend, of course not only on players, on other things as well, is actually over €200 million more than what they had last season. And the powers that be at La Liga, specifically the president Javier Tebas, has said that now Real Madrid could actually purchase Kylian Mbappé and Haaland. So what does all this mean? If Madrid do sign Mbappé on a free transfer, there will be no transfer fee to affect the salary cap, although they will have to take into account the signing on fee and the players' wages. And in addition to this, there have been some reports that the club are interested in bringing Edinson Cavani from Manchester United to the club on a loan move in January, although I'm not too sure if I can see that one happening. And as for Haaland, Madrid would of course need to pay a high transfer fee, which will put them close to the limit, but they would have enough margin to make a big money signing if they decide to. So next up, and according to a report from The Telegraph, Chelsea's Timo Werner is reassessing hhis situation at the club and if he will continue in the top flight of English football. Of course, he made the move from RB Leipzig for about £47.7 million. And it's safe to say he's been a little bit underwhelming. He has really struggled to get game time. So far this season, he's only managed 7 appearances, none of which have actually been in the Champions League. And of course, with the arrival of Romelu Lukaku, it has made things a little bit difficult for him under Thomas Tuchel, and we haven't really seen the player that we did see in the Bundesliga. So if Werner decides that he doesn't want to try and work his way into Tuchel's team and he does decide to walk away, where will his destination be? Now, according to The Telegraph, this will depend on transfers that could take place next summer of some of the biggest players in Europe. So first up, Kylian Mbappé seems like he will be departing from PSG to Real Madrid. What this then means is that PSG will need a new player. They have been linked with Robert Lewandowski from Bayern Munich. That then means that Bayern Munich will need a striker. Then they will reportedly be looking to Erling Haaland, even though, as I've stated, I think he will be heading to Real Madrid. And what this means, whether Haaland goes to Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, wherever, there will be a Haaland-shaped hole in that Dortmund team. And this is actually where Werner comes in. Now, is he going to be an out-and-out replacement for Haaland? No, I'm not too sure if anybody could actually do that job, but he would be a great option for Dortmund, and he is reportedly one of the top players that they are considering should Haaland depart. However, Bayern Munich are also a club that are reportedly in the running for Werner should he decide to walk away from London. Having previously played under manager Julian Nagelsmann whilst the pair worked together at Leipzig, Werner is familiar with the manager's style and his man management. It's worked at Leipzig, so who's to say that it couldn't work again at a different club? We'll have to wait and see what his decision is. I think it would be a shame to see him depart from Chelsea so soon, as there was so much hype over his arrival in the Premier League. So here's hoping that he manages to regain a little bit more form and he sticks it out in England. Last night in the Europa League and the Europa Conference League, there were some really big wins and unfortunately quite a few unsavoury moments as well. But to kick things off, we will be talking about Spurs in the Conference League as they recorded their first victory in the competition. And it was Harry Kane to the rescue as he managed to score himself a 20-minute hat-trick. Spurs got off to a great start with Dele Alli managing to score a penalty just 4 minutes into the fixture. Spurs looked a stark contrast in the first half to the team we saw in the North London derby. A lot more impressive, a lot more dominant. Going into the early stages of the second half, it was 2-1 as Mora did manage to get a goal, and they brought Harry Kane on off the bench, and it was great to see him get that hat-trick and great to see Spurs get what I think was a much-needed win. Meanwhile, West Ham managed to continue their 100% record in the Europa League with a 2-0 win over Rapid Vienna. Unfortunately, when West Ham scored their first goal, the Rapid Vienna fans actually jumped barriers trying to reportedly goad some of the West Ham fans, and in the end both sets of fans were reportedly throwing things and the police did have to intervene. And regarding disruptions to games, unfortunately it did not stop there. Eintracht Frankfurt's goalkeeper Kevin Trapp was reportedly hit by a firecracker. However, he did continue to play. And then in Marseille's 0-0 draw with Galatasaray, play had to be halted for 8 minutes as reportedly fans were throwing flares onto the pitch. And then when there was an on-pitch situation between two players, again fans continued to throw things. This isn't the first time that Marseille have been linked with these kind of situations, and surely something has got to be done to avoid this happening in the future. Meanwhile, Rangers lost away from home to Sparta Prague in what was a game filled with even more upsetting scenes. Glenn Kamara, who was racially abused 6 months ago by a Slavia Prague player, was booed by home fans last night. Sparta Prague fans themselves have been accused of racist chants, which is why UEFA were going to not allow any fans into the stadium. They then changed their mind and allowed 10,000 children into the stadium, and this is where the booing was coming from. Absolutely horrific to see these racist things happening, and again, something has got to be done. Regarding the actual game for Rangers, it really wasn't great. They were at the bottom of their table. Glenn Kamara actually ended up getting sent off in what Steven Gerrard said maybe his first card wasn't really justified, but yeah, not a great night for Rangers, and it wasn't much better for Celtic. They also were at the bottom of their table and were totally outclassed by Bayer Leverkusen, who celebrated a deserved 4-0 win. In some of the other games, Legia Warsaw managed to get a 1-0 win over Leicester City, who were looking pretty shaky in defence. Meanwhile, Real Sociedad managed to get a 1-1 draw with Monaco, and actually despite Napoli losing 3-2 to Spartak Moscow, their player Eljif Elmas scored the fastest Europa League goal for an Italian side as he found the back of the net after 13 seconds. And now we have our transfer roundup. This is where I take a look at some of the other news and transfers going on in the footballing world. And first up, according to reports, Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp is interested in signing Bayer Leverkusen's Moussa Diaby. And speaking of Liverpool, according to Fabrizio Romano, PSG were very much interested in signing Jordan Henderson before, of course, they signed Lionel Messi. Meanwhile, Barcelona are reportedly tracking Swedish teenager William Svedberg, who has actually got interest from the likes of AC Milan and Liverpool also. And finally, there are reports now that Donny van der Beek is looking for another move away from Manchester United, as of course he's not getting much game time and he wants to regain some form before the World Cup next year. And now we have Friday Feels. This is where I give you guys some of my predictions ahead of the weekend's fixtures. Make sure you give us your predictions in the comment section below, and some of the correct ones may be read out on Monday. So first up, we have got Atletico Madrid against Barcelona, and I've just got a feeling that things are going to go from bad to worse again for Ronald Koeman's side. They really are in a little bit of a slump at the moment. Atletico, apart from a few draws, have been looking good, and I think that they will get a 2-0 victory. Then there is Liverpool against Manchester City. Liverpool coming off the back of a great victory over Porto in the Champions League. Manchester City have had 2 losses now. Liverpool have the advantage of being at Anfield, and I think they could get a 3-1 win. And finally, we have got Atalanta against AC Milan in Serie A. AC Milan have not lost a game yet, and I think this will continue. However, I think the game will finish in a 2-2 draw. So that is it for today's OneFootball Daily News. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and until next time, I will see you all later.